Welcome to Chapter 6, Triangles. Here you'll meet similar figures, shapes that look identical but come in different sizes, like photographs enlarged from one negative. You'll discover the basic proportionality theorem, credited to Thales, which says a line parallel to one side of a triangle cuts the other two sides in the same ratio, and you'll use its converse too. Then you'll learn the 3 quick tests for when two triangles are similar: angle, 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 side, 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 and side, angle, side, and put them to work finding the heights of poles and the lengths of shadows, one clear step at a time.
In the darkness of the unknown, a stuck student finds their way, the greatest minds, and turn confusion into brilliance.
Here is a triangle. Now, what do we really mean when we say two figures are similar? Think of a photograph. If you zoom in or out, the picture gets bigger or smaller, but nothing gets distorted. A face stays a face, a square stays a square. That is exactly what similar means: same shape, possibly different size. So similar triangles are just copies of this one, scaled up or down, but never stretched sideways or squashed. Keep that photozoom picture in your head, because everything in this chapter grows out of it. Let me name the 3 sides A, B and C so we can watch them. Here's the question I want you to hold on to as the triangle grows: what stays exactly the same, and what changes? Because whatever survives the zoom is the real fingerprint of the shape. Watch as I scale it up. Notice that every side grows by the same amount, they don't grow independently. If I stretch by a factor k, then A becomes k times A, B becomes k times B, and C becomes k times C. That single number k is the same for all 3. And that's the whole point, one common multiplier. This is why we can say the sides of similar triangles are proportional. Proportional just means they all share one scale factor. That factor k is what a photo zoom slider is really doing. But now look carefully at the 3 angels, the little arcs at the corners. They have not moved at all. The triangle is much bigger, yet each corner is opened by exactly the same amount as before. And that makes sense. Zooming a photo never bends the corners of anything in it. So here is the deal that defines similarity. Angels stay fixed while sides all scale by k. Same shape, different size. And shrink it back down, the angels are still identical to where we started. So let's spin the definition once and for all. Two triangles are similar when their angels are equal and their sides are in a fixed ratio k. Those 2 facts are actually 2 sides of the same coin. You'll soon see that equal angels force proportional sides, and proportional sides force equal angels. That deep link is the engine of the entire chapter. Here's a triangle ABC. Watch what happens when I draw a line straight across it, kept parallel to the base BC. This one move, a parallel cut, turns out to hide one of the most useful theorems in all of geometry. Let's discover it rather than just be told it. The parallel line meets the other 2 sides at D and E. Now here's the interesting part. Look at how D splits the left side into AD and DB, and how E splits the right side into AE and EC. I've put the 2 ratios on the right, AD over DB, and AE over EC. Notice they read the same number right now. Why would a parallel line force that? Because DE parallel to BC makes the small top triangle ADE the same shape as the whole triangle ABC, same angels, so its sides scale by one common factor. Equal scale on both sides is exactly what makes those 2 ratios agree. Now watch as I slide the parallel line up and down. Each ratio changes, The numbers on the right keep moving, but look, they move in perfect lockstep, always equal to each other no matter where the line sits. That is the basic proportionality theorem, also called the Thales theorem. A line parallel to one side of a triangle divides the other two sides in the very same ratio. It's not a coincidence you have to memorize, it's the similar triangle scaling we just saw, happening at every height. But I want you to see that parallel is essential, it's not decoration. Watch what happens the moment I tilt the line even slightly. The two ratios split apart, one turns red, and the equality is gone. That's because the tilt destroys the matching angles, so the top triangle is no longer the same shape as the whole, no common scale factor, no equal ratios. This is worth remembering. The equality lives and dies with parallelism. And the instant I bring it back to parallel, the ratios snap into agreement again and turn green. This reversibility is a gift. It means we can run the theorem backwards. If you ever find a line that splits two sides in equal ratio, you can conclude it must be parallel. That's the converse, and we'll lean on it again and again to prove lines are parallel. Here is a small triangle. We know that when we scale it up, the sides all grow by a factor k. But here's a question students almost always get wrong on their first try. What happens to the area? Does it also grow by k? Let's not guess. Let's actually build the bigger triangle out of copies of this little one and simply count them. Let's take the simplest case, double every side, so the scale factor k equals 2. Here is the outline of that double triangle. If area behaved like the sides, it would take just two little triangles to fill this. Hold that prediction in mind, too, and let's see if it's right. Watch them drop in, 1, 2, 3, and a fourth flipped one nestled in the middle. It takes exactly 4 copies, not 2. Doubling the sides quadrupled the area. And here is the reason it must be 4 and not 2. A triangle has both a width and a height, and doubling the sides doubles both of them. 2 times 2 is 4. Area is two-dimensional, so the scale factor gets applied twice, once for each dimension. Test the pattern once more, scale the sides by 3, and you'd need 3 times 3, which is 9 copies to fill it. Doubling gave 4, tripling gives 9, always the side factor squared. So here is the rule, and it's earned, not asserted. If the sides scale by k, the area scales by k squared. This is why in every exam problem you must square the side ratio to get the area ratio, never leave it linear. So let's gather the heart of the chapter. First, similar triangles are the same shape with equal angles and sides in one common ratio. Second, a line parallel to one side splits the other two in equal ratio. That's Thales, and it's really just the scaling idea seen from the inside. Third, area scale as the ratio squared, because area is two-dimensional. And here's a bonus these ideas quietly give us. Drop the altitude in a right triangle and it cuts it into two smaller triangles, each similar to the whole. Chase those similar ratios and out pops a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Pythagoras itself is just similar triangles in disguise. Now let's prove all of this carefully and work every single example. Let's walk through all 8 insert examples together, one gentle step at a time. As we go, notice we are really practicing just a handful of moves. Spot a parallel line and reach for Thales, spot matching angles or sides and reach for a similarity criterion, so by the end these won't feel like 8 separate puzzles but one toolkit used 8 ways. The theorem gives us, part over part, But we are asked for part over whole, so a tiny algebra flip is the whole game here. Let's read the problem carefully first. We are told DE is parallel to BC, and we must prove a ratio that uses the whole sides AB and AC. But the theorem we know talks about the parts AD and DB. So the plan is clear. Start from what the theorem gives us, then rearrange until the whole sides appear. Let's write down the given. Because DE is parallel to BC on our figure, the basic proportionality theorem, Theorem 6.1, kicks in. It tells us the line splits the two sides in the same ratio, AD over DB equals AE over EC. Remember why that's true? The parallel line makes the top triangle the same shape as the whole, so both sides scale by one factor. This equation is our launch pad. Now a small but legal move, flip both fractions upside down. Why are we allowed to? Because if two fractions are equal, their reciprocals must be equal too. Turning both over keeps the balance. So DB over AD equals EC over AE. Watch why I'm doing this. I want AD and AE on the bottom so that adding to them builds the whole side. Here comes the clever step. Add 1 to each side. Adding the same number to two equal quantities keeps them equal, so this is perfectly fair. But why 1? Because in a moment that 1 is going to become AD over AD on the left and AE over AE on the right, which is exactly what we need to complete the whole side. Watch the magic combine. On the left, DB over AD plus 1 becomes DB plus AD, all over AD, and DB plus AD is just the whole side AB, the full left edge on our figure. The same thing happens on the right, EC plus AE is the whole side AC. So we get AB over AD equals AC over AE. We've traded parts for wholes. Almost there. Right now the whole sides are on top and AD, AE are on the bottom, but the problem wants AD and AE on top. So one final flip turns both fractions over, and we land exactly on AD over AB equals AE over AC. That is precisely the statement we were asked to prove, so the proof is complete. Here's the takeaway to bank. Whenever a Thales ratio gives you part over part, but the question wants part over whole, add 1 to both sides. That single trick converts AD over DB into AB over AD, and it comes up again and again, so recognize it on sight. Thales only speaks the language of triangles, but a trapezium isn't one. So our whole strategy is to draw one diagonal and manufacture the triangles we need. Let's understand the obstacle before we start. EF sits inside a trapezium, and the basic proportionality theorem only works inside a triangle. It has nothing to say about a four-sided figure. So we need a triangle. The classic fix is to draw a diagonal, AC, which slices the trapezium into two triangles. Let's note the given facts and draw that line. Follow the diagonal AC across the figure. It crosses the line EF at a point, and we'll name that point G. This matters because G is the hinge. It sits in both triangles at once, so it lets us pass information from one triangle to the other. Now we genuinely have two triangles to work with. One quick fact we'll need. We are told AB is parallel to DC, and also EF is parallel to AB. If two lines are each parallel to the same line, they must be parallel to each other, so EF is also parallel to DC. That's important, because now EG, which lies along EF, is parallel to the base DC of the lower triangle. Focus on the lower triangle ADC on our figure. Inside it, EG is parallel to the base DC, exactly the Thales setup. So the theorem splits sides AD and AC in the same ratio, giving AE over ED equals AG over GC. Call this equation 1. It captures the left side of the trapezium. Now swing over to the upper triangle CAB. Here the segment GF is parallel to AB, so Thales applies again and hands us CG over GA equals CF over FB. This equation captures the right side of the trapezium, the BF and FC we ultimately care about. Before we can link the two equations, the letters have to face the same way. So flip that last equation over so AG sits on top, matching equation 1. Flipping is legal, equal fractions have equal reciprocals, and it gives AG over GC equals BF over FC. Call it equation 2. Now the diagonal pays off. Equation 1 and equation 2 both equal the same middle quantity, AG over GC. If two things each equal a common third thing, they equal each other, so AE over ED must equal BF over FC. That's exactly what we set out to show, and it's proved. The lesson worth keeping: whenever a figure isn't a triangle, draw a diagonal. It manufactures the triangles Thales needs, and the shared segment along that diagonal, here AG over GC, becomes the bridge that ties the two results together. The word proof isosceles means we need two equal sides, and equal sides come from equal angles. So the real quest is to hunt down a pair of equal angles, and the given ratio is our first clue. Let's take stock of the clues. We are handed a ratio, PS over SQ equals PT over TR, and separately an angle fact. Whenever you see a ratio that's equal on two sides of a triangle, a bell should ring. That's the fingerprint of the converse of Thales. So let's write the given down and plan to use that converse first. Here's the converse in action. On our figure, ST divides sides PQ and PR in the same ratio. Theorem 6.2, the converse of Thales, says a line that splits two sides equally must be parallel to the third. So ST is parallel to QR. Notice we've turned a ratio fact into a parallel line fact, and parallels are angle machines. Now cash in that parallel line for an angle. With ST parallel to QR, look at the transversal P question. Angle PST and angle PQR are in matching positions, corresponding angles, so they're equal. Call this equation 1. This is our first angle earned for free by the parallel. Now recall the second clue we were given but haven't used yet. Angle PST also equals angle PRQ. Let's write that as equation 2. Two facts about the same angle PST are about to collide usefully. Put equations 1 and 2 side by side. Both of them say something equals angle PST. One says angle PQR does, the other says angle PRQ does. So those two must be equal to each other. Angle PRQ equals angle PQR. We've found our pair of equal angles. And here's the payoff. In any triangle, the sides opposite equal angles are themselves equal. That's the base-angles theorem, working in reverse. Angle PRQ sits opposite PQ, and angle PQR sits opposite PR, so PQ equals PR. Look at the tick marks on our figure confirming those two sides. And a triangle with two equal sides is, by definition, isosceles. So triangle PQR is isosceles, exactly as we were asked to prove. Notice the whole chain: ratio, then parallel, then angles, then sides. The pattern to remember: a matching ratio on two sides is a green light to invoke the converse of Thales. That gives you a parallel line, the parallel line gives you equal angles, and equal angles give you equal sides. Learn to run that whole ladder in one glance. To prove two triangles similar by AA, we need matching angles, and parallel lines cut by transversals are a factory that mass produces them. Let's set our target. To prove the two triangles similar by AAA, we need pairs of equal angles. The one gift we are given is that PQ is parallel to RS, and parallel lines, whenever a straight line crosses them, throw off equal angles. So let's go collect three pairs. Look at the line PS on our figure. It cuts straight across both parallels, so it's a transversal. Angle P and angle S sit on opposite sides of it, tucked between the parallels. That makes them alternate angles, which are always equal. There's our first pair. Now use the other transversal, QR, crossing the same two parallels. By the identical reasoning, angle Q and angle R are alternate angles too, so they're equal. That's a second pair of matching angles, one more and we're done. The third pair costs us nothing. At the crossing point O, the two triangles meet tip to tip, and angle POQ and angle SOR are vertically opposite, the X shape you get whenever two lines cross. Vertically opposite edges are always equal, so there's our third pair. All three pairs of angles match, so by the AA criterion the triangles are similar. One careful detail: we write the correspondence POQ similar to SOR in that exact order, because P pairs with S, O with O, and Q with R, the letter order records which angle equals which, and getting it right keeps every later ratio honest. The habit to build: the instant you see two parallel lines, go looking for alternate angles on each transversal and vertically opposite angles at any crossing. Together they almost always hand you an AA similarity for free, no lengths required. We want an angle, but the only numbers we have are lengths. The bridge from lengths to angles is similarity, so check the three side ratios first, and the matching angles fall out. Notice the trap in the wording. We are asked for angle P, but P lives in the second triangle, and we are given no angle there at all. So we can't find it directly. The plan instead is to prove the two triangles are similar using only their sides, and then let similarity carry an angle across from the first triangle to the second. To use SSS, we compare matching sides one pair at a time. Start with AB against its partner RQ, that's 3.8 over 7.6, and 3.8 is exactly half of 7.6, so this ratio is 1/2. Keep that number in mind. For SSS to work, all three ratios must come out the same. Second pair, BC against QP, 6 over 12, again 1/2. Two ratios matching is encouraging, but geometry demands we check the third too. 2 out of 3 would prove nothing. Third pair, CA against PR. This one hides a square root, but don't panic, 3√3 over 6√3, and the √3 on top and bottom simply cancel, leaving 3 over 6, which is 1/2 once more. all three ratios are the same. 3 equal side ratios is precisely the SSS similarity criterion. Same shape, scaled by 1/2. So the triangles are similar, and notice the letter order, ABC similar to our QP, is dictated by which sides we paired, A with R, B with Q, C with P. Now the correspondence pays off. In similar triangles, angles in matching positions are equal. From our pairing, C corresponds to P, so angle C equals angle P. We've bridged the two triangles. Finding angle C in the first will hand us angle P in the second. And angle C is easy, because the three angles of any triangle add to 180. We know angle A is 80 and angle B is 60, so angle C is what's left, 180 minus 80 minus 60, which is 40 degrees. Since angle P equals angle C, and angle C is 40, angle P is 40 degrees. That's our answer, reached entirely by lengths, then carried across by similarity. The strategy to remember: when a problem gives you all the sides but asks for an angle, match the sides first with SSS. Similarity then equates the corresponding angles automatically, letting you compute a missing angle in one triangle from the known angles of the other. Similarity always speaks in ratios, but the problem gives us a product of lengths. So the very first move is to rewrite that product as a ratio, and once we do, an SAS setup appears out of nowhere. Read the given carefully. A times OB equals OC times OD, a product of lengths. But every similarity tool we own, whether SSS or SAS, is written in terms of ratios, not products. So there's really only one sensible opening move: turn this product into a ratio. To do that, divide both sides so that OA and OC, the two sides meeting at O in the two triangles, end up as one fraction, and OD and OB as the other. That gives OA over OC equals OD over OB. Call it equation 1. This is a clean ratio of two pairs of sides, which is half of an SAS. For SAS, we also need the angle sitting between those sides to match. Look at point O on our figure. Angle AOD and angle COB form an X where the two lines cross, so they're vertically opposite, automatically equal. Call it equation 2. Crucially, this is the included angle, right between the sides in our ratio. Now assemble the pieces. Equation 1 gives two pairs of sides in the same ratio. Equation 2 gives the angle wedged exactly between them equal. Side, angle, side, that's the SAS similarity criterion, so triangle AOD is similar to triangle COB. And similar triangles have all their matching angles equal. Reading off the correspondence gives angle A equals angle C and angle D equals angle B in one stroke, both results the problem asked for, delivered together. The takeaway: A product equals product condition is a ratio waiting to happen. Divide to convert it, then look for the included angle. Vertically opposite angles at a crossing point are the usual gift, and you've built an SAS similarity. This is similarity doing real-world measurement. The straight ray of light from lamp to shadow tip is a shared slanted side, and it nests two triangles inside each other. That's the secret to finding a length we could never reach with a ruler. Let's build the picture, because a clear diagram is half the battle. The lamppost is the tall vertical AB. The girl is the shorter vertical CD standing further along. Light streaks from the lamp top A, grazes her head, and lands at E, the tip of her shadow. So her shadow is DE, and that's what we want. Let's call its length x meters. One quantity we'll need is how far she has walked from the pole. She moves at 1.2 meters per second for 4 seconds, and distance is simply speed times time. So BD, the ground gap from pole foot to girl foot, is 1.2 times 4, which is 4.8 meters. Now let's prove the two triangles are similar so we can use a ratio. First angle pair, both the lamppost and the girl stand straight up from the flat ground, so angle B and angle D are each 90 degrees, and therefore equal to each other. Second angle pair comes free from the geometry. The tip of the shadow, E, is the same point for both triangles. The big lamp triangle and the small girl triangle share that corner. So angle E is common to both, giving us our second equal angle. Two pairs of equal angles is all the criterion asks for. So triangle ABE is similar to triangle CDE. Now we are licensed to write a proportion between their sides. Similarity says matching sides are in the same ratio, so pair them by roll, base to base, height to height. BE, the big base, over DE, the small base, equals AB, the big height, over CD, the small height. Getting the pairing right here is what keeps the equation correct. Now substitute the actual lengths. The big base BE runs from the pole all the way to the shadow tip, which is the 4.8 she walked plus the shadow x, so BE is 4.8 plus x. The small base DE is just x. The lamp is 3.6 meters, the girl 0.9. Tidy the right side first. 3.6 divided by 0.9 is exactly 4. So the girl is 1/4 the lamp's height, the lamp is 4 times taller. Now cross-multiply to clear the fraction, giving 4.8 plus x equals 4x. Collect the excess on one side, subtract x from both sides, so 4.8 equals 4x minus x, which is 3x. Finally divide both sides by 3 to free x. 4.8 over 3 is 1.6. So her shadow is 1.6 meters long. The big idea to carry away: whenever two upright objects are lit by a single source, the light rays make similar triangles, and a ratio lets you find a length you could never measure directly: a shadow, a tower, a cliff. This is the very engine of indirect measurement. The one insight running through all three parts is simple. A median always cuts its side exactly in half, and half of a proportional length keeps the very same ratio. Hold that, and every part falls out. The problem hands us the big triangles as already similar. So before doing anything, let's unpack everything that gift contains. Similarity means two things at once. All pairs of sides share one common ratio, and all pairs of matching angels are equal. We'll draw on both, so let's list them out. First, the sides. From the similarity, AB over PQ equals BC over QR equals CA over RP, one common ratio linking every pair. Call this whole chain equation 1. It's the master proportion we'll keep returning to. Now the angles. Matching corners are equal. Angle A equals angle P, angle B equals angle Q, angle C equals angle R. Call this equation 2. These will supply the included angle that SAS needs later. Here's the key fact about medians. CM is the median to AB, so by definition M is the midpoint of AB, meaning AB is exactly twice AM. Likewise PQ is twice PN. Look at M and N sitting dead center on the bases in our figure. This is the halving that unlocks everything. Now substitute those into the AB over PQ piece of equation 1. It becomes 2AM over 2PN, and the 2's on top and bottom cancel cleanly, leaving AM over PN. So AM over PN equals CA over RP. Call it equation 3. The halving didn't disturb the ratio at all, which is the heart of this whole problem. We're building toward part 1, and SAS on the small triangles AMC and PNR. Equation 3 gives the two sides in ratio. Now we need the angle between them. From equation 2, angle A equals angle P, and angle MAC is just angle A, angle NPR is just angle P, so those included angles are equal. Call it equation 4. Part 1, assembled. Equation 3 gives two pairs of sides in the same ratio. Equation 4 gives the angle wedged between them equal. Side, angle, side, SAS. So triangle AMC is similar to triangle PNR. Call this result equation 5. The other two parts will lean on it. On to part 2. Because AMC and PNR are now similar, all their matching sides share the ratio, including the medians themselves. So CM over RN equals CA over RP. We've got the medians into a proportion. One more link finishes it. That last link is equation 1. CA over RP is one of the equal ratios, so it also equals AB over PQ. Chaining through, CM over RN equals AB over PQ. Call it equation 8. That's part 2 proved. The medians are in the same ratio as the sides. Part 3 needs an SSS on triangles CMB and RNQ. Let's gather their three side ratios. From equation 1, AB over PQ also equals BC over QR. So combining with equation 8, CM over RN equals BC over QR, that's the first side pair. Call it equation 9. For the next pair, use halving again. BM is half of BC and QN is half of QR, so BM over QN equals BC over QR, which we just saw equals CM over RN. So CM over Rn also equals Bm over Qn. Call it equation 10. Now stand back. Equations 9 and 10 together show all three sides of triangle CMB, namely CM, MB, and BC, are in the same ratio as the matching sides of our NQ. Three matching side ratios is the SSS criterion, so the final similarity is proved. The single idea powering all three parts, a median always halves its side, and having both a numerator and its partner leaves the ratio untouched. That's why corresponding medians of similar triangles carry the exact same ratio as the sides, a fact you can quote directly in board exams.
Now let's solve every exercise question, breaking each into small, clear steps you can follow. Recall the exact definition of similar figures. Setup: similarity means same shape, but not necessarily same size. So keep that meaning in mind for each blank. All circles have the same round shape regardless of radius, so they are similar, not congruent. All squares have 4 equal sides and right angles, differing only in size, so they are similar. Only equilateral triangles always have the same 60-degree angles, so all of them are similar. The definition of similar polygons needs equal angles and proportional sides. In sight, similar is about shape alone, size is free to change, which is why circles and squares are always similar. Pick shapes whose angles are locked, then shapes whose angles can vary. Set up, similar figures keep the same shape. Non-similar ones can have the same name but different proportions. For similar pairs, choose figures whose form is fixed by their type. For non-similar pairs, choose shapes whose sides or angles can differ. In sight, shapes with fixed angles are automatically similar. Loosen the angles or side ratios and similarity breaks. Similarity demands both conditions at once. Check each. Set up to be similar. Quadrilaterals need equal corresponding angles and proportional corresponding sides. One alone is not enough. In Fig. 6, 8, the two quadrilaterals have their sides in the same ratio, but their corresponding angles are not equal. Since one of the two conditions fails, they cannot be called similar. In sight, similarity is a two-part test. Proportional sides alone or equal angles alone never suffices for polygons. Parallel side means thales. Set the ratios equal and solve. Set up, DE is parallel to BC, so the basic proportionality theorem splits AB and AC in the same ratio. Substitute the known lengths, calling the unknown EC. The left side simplifies to 1/2. Cross-multiply to solve for EC. In sight, a parallel side instantly gives a proportion. The only work left is plugging in and solving. Same theorem, just solve for the other unknown. Set up, DE parallel to BC again, gives the same proportion between the two split sides. Substitute, this time with AD as the unknown. The right side simplifies to 1/3. Multiply both sides by 7, 2 to isolate AD. In sight, the proportion works whichever length is missing. Just isolate the unknown and simplify. Compare the two ratios. Equal means parallel by the converse. Set up by the converse of Thales. EF is parallel to QR only if it divides PQ and PR in the same ratio. Compute the ratio on side PQ. Compute the ratio on side PR. The two ratios are different, so EF cannot be parallel to QR. In sight, the converse test is pure ratio comparison. Unequal ratios instantly rule out a parallel line. Watch the naming, it's QE and RF here, not EQ and FR. Set up, use the same converse test, but note the segments are given as PE, key, and PF, RF. Compute the ratio on side PQ. Compute the ratio on side PR. The ratios are equal, so by the converse, EF is parallel to QR. In sight, equal division ratios on the two sides are exactly the converse of Thales' guarantee of parallelism. Here you're given whole sides, so find the leftover pieces first. Set up, we're given the full sides and only PE, PF, so first subtract to get the remaining segments EQ and FR. Find EQ on side PQ. Find FR on side PR. Compute the ratio on PQ. Compute the ratio on PR. The ratios match, so EF is parallel to QR. In sight, when only whole sides are given, subtract to recover the parts before applying the ratio test. Two parallel lines give two Thales ratios that share a common bridge. Set up, two different parallels are given, so we'll get two proportions and link them through a shared ratio. In triangle ABC, LM is parallel to CB, so Thales in the part over whole form gives a ratio. In triangle ACD, LN is parallel to CD, giving another ratio with the same AL over AC. Both 1 and 2 equal AL over AC, so their left sides are equal. In sight, a shared ratio like AL over AC is the bridge that connects two separate Thales results. Apply Thales twice and chain the results through BD over DA. Set up, we have two parallels, DO and DF, so we'll write a Thales ratio for each in its own triangle. In triangle BAC, DE is parallel to AC, so it divides BA and BC proportionally. In triangle BAE, DF is parallel to AE, so it divides BA and B proportionally. Both ratios equal BD over DA, so their right sides are equal. In sight, chaining two Thales ratios through a common term is the go-to move for these parallel line proofs. Prove two ratios, then use the converse to conclude the new parallel. Set up, our goal EF parallel to QR will come from the converse of Thales, so first we need a ratio inside triangle PQR. In triangle POQ, DE is parallel to OQ, giving a proportion on PO and PQ. In triangle POR, DF is parallel to OR, giving a proportion with the same PD over DO. Equating 1 and 2, EF divides PQ and PR in the same ratio. By the converse of Thales, that equal division forces EF parallel to QR. In sight, to prove a line is parallel, aim for equal ratios and finish with the converse of Thales. Same two ratios then converse pattern, one triangle up. Set up, we want BC parallel to QR, so we build a ratio in triangle OQR using the two given parallels. In triangle OPQ, AB parallel to PQ gives a proportion on OP and OQ. In triangle OPR, AC parallel to PR gives a proportion sharing OA over AP. Equate them, BC divides OQ and/or in the same ratio. The converse of Thales then guarantees BC parallel to QR. In sight, this is the same recipe as Q5, two Thales ratios feeding one converse conclusion. The midpoint makes one ratio equal to 1, forcing the other to be 1, 2. Set up, in triangle ABC, let D be the midpoint of AB and draw DE parallel to BC. To prove, E is the midpoint of AC. Since D is the midpoint, AD equals DB, so their ratio is 1. Because DE is parallel to BC, Theorem 6, 1 makes the two side ratios equal. Therefore, AE over EC also equals 1, meaning AE equals EC. Equal pieces mean E bisects AC, as required. In sight, a midpoint turns a Thales ratio into 1, and the theorem then forces the matching side to be halved too. Two midpoints make both ratios equal, so the converse gives parallelism. Set up, let D and E be midpoints of AB and AC in triangle ABC. To prove, DE is parallel to BC, so we aim for the converse. D being a midpoint makes AD over DB equal to 1. E being a midpoint makes AE over EC equal to 1. So the two ratios are equal. DE divides AB and AC in the same ratio. By the converse, Theorem 6. 2. DE must be parallel to BC. In sight, two midpoints give two ratios of 1, and equal ratios are precisely what the converse needs. Draw a helper line parallel to a parallel side to split the diagonal by Thales. Set up, through O draw a line OE parallel to AB, hence also parallel to DC, meeting AD at E. This creates Thales triangles. In triangle ADC, OE is parallel to DC, so it splits AD and AC in the same ratio. In triangle ABD, OE is parallel to AB, so it splits AD and BD in the same ratio. Equate 1 and 2 through the common AE over ED. Cross-multiplying and rearranging gives the required form. In sight, a helper line parallel to the parallel sides converts a trapezium diagonal problem into two Thales ratios. This is Q9 in reverse. Build a parallel with the converse. Set up, we're given the diagonal ratio and must prove a pair of sides is parallel, so the converse of Thales is our target. Rearrange the given ratio into the split in same ratio form. Through O draw OE parallel to AB meeting AD at E. In triangle ABD, this gives AE over ED equals BO over OD. Comparing with the given ratio, AE over ED also equals AO over OC. In triangle ADC, that equal ratio forces OE parallel to DC, so AB is parallel to DC. One pair of parallel sides is the definition of a trapezium. In sight, show it's a trapezium means produce one pair of parallel sides, and the converse of Thales does exactly that. Match angles for AAA, sides for SSS, or one angle plus two sides for SAS. Set up, for each pair, decide which criterion applies by what's marked, all angles, all sides, or an angle between two sides. A, all three angles match, so it's AAA similarity. B, the three side ratios are all equal, so SSS. C, the sides are proportional, but the equal angle is not the included one, so no similarity can be claimed. D, one angle equal with the two including sides proportional gives SAS. E, only one angle is known, which is never enough, so no conclusion. F, two angles match, forcing the third, so AAA applies. In sight, SAS only works when the equal angle sits between the two proportional sides, otherwise it proves nothing. A straight line and the angle sum unlock every angle in turn. Set up, BOD is a straight line, so angle DOC and angle BOC together make 180 degrees. Subtract to find angle DOC. In triangle ODC, the three angles sum to 180, so subtract the two known ones. Because the triangles are similar with D matching B and C matching A, angle OAB equals angle ODC. In sight, read the similarities letter order carefully, It tells you exactly which angles correspond. Parallel sides make alternate angles, and alternate angles make AA similarity. Setup unlike the X6. 2 version, here we use similar triangles, so first hunt for equal angles from the parallel sides. AB parallel to DC gives alternate angle OAB equal to angle OCD. Another pair of alternate angles gives angle OBA equal to angle ODC. 2 equal angles mean triangles OAB and OCD are similar by AA. Corresponding sides of similar triangles are proportional, which is exactly the required ratio. Insight: parallel sides in a trapezium are an angle factory. Alternate angles hand you AA similarity directly. The equal angles quietly make 2 sides swappable before you use SAS. Setup: angle 1 equals angle 2 means the sides opposite them in triangle PQR are equal, and that lets us rewrite the given ratio. Replace PR by PQ in the given ratio. Rearrange so the sides of triangles PQS and TQR are paired. The angle Q is common to both triangles and lies between those sides. One equal angle between 2 proportional sides is the SAS similarity criterion. Insight: the isosceles fact from equal angles is the hidden step that turns the given ratio into a usable SAS pairing. A shared angle plus 1 given equal angle is all AA needs. Setup: we're given 1 pair of equal angles. Find a second pair and AA finishes it. Angle R is common to both triangles RPQ and RTS. 2 pairs of equal angles satisfy the AA similarity criterion. Insight: a common angle is a free second equality. 1 given angle plus the shared one clinches AA. Congruence hands you equal sides. Turn them into a ratio for SAS. Setup: from the congruence, matching sides are equal, which will convert into equal ratios. Congruent triangles give AB equals AC and AE equals AD. So the ratio AD over AB equals AE over AC. Both are the same fraction. Angle R is common to triangles ADE and ABC and sits between those sides. Proportional sides around an equal included angle give SAS similarity. Insight: congruence is stronger than similarity. Its equal sides convert straight into the ratios SAS wants. Right angles from the altitudes plus shared angles give AA every time. Setup: both altitudes create right angles, so every pair below will pair a right angle with a shared or vertical angle for AA. Right angles at E and D are equal, and angles APD and CPD are vertically opposite. Roman 2, right angles at D and E are equal, and angle B is common. Roman 3, right angles at E and D are equal, and angle of is common. Roman 4, right angles at D and E are equal, and angle C is common. Insight: altitudes plant right angles everywhere, so AA similarity keeps appearing with just 1 extra shared or vertical angle. A parallelogram's parallel sides supply the equal angles for AA. Setup: use the parallelogram's parallel sides to find matching angles between the 2 triangles. In a parallelogram opposite angles are equal, so angle A equals angle C. Since AE is parallel to BC, angle AEB equals angle CBF as alternate angles. Two equal angles give AA similarity, with the letters matched by those angles. In sight, a parallelogram is packed with equal and alternate angles, ideal fuel for an AA similarity proof. Two right angles plus a shared angle equals AA, and similarity gives the ratio. Set up, both triangles have a right angle, so we only need one more equal angle for AA. Angle A is common to both triangles. Two equal angles give AA similarity. Roman 2, corresponding sides of similar triangles are in the same ratio. In sight, a shared angle between two right triangles is the classic AA setup, and the side ratio follows immediately. Having equal angles keeps the halves equal, the key to every part. Set up from the similarity, angle C equals angle G. Bisecting both keeps their halves equal. So angle ACD equals angle FGH, and also angle BCD equals angle EGH. Roman 3 in triangles DCA and HGF, angle A equals angle F and the half angles match, so AA gives similarity. From that similarity, corresponding sides give the bisector ratio. Roman 2 in triangles DCB and HGE, angle B equals angle E and the other half angles match, so AA again. In sight, bisecting two equal angles produces equal halves, which seed AA similarity in every subtriangle. Isosceles equal angles plus two right angles deliver AA. Set up, the triangle is isosceles with AB equals AC, so its base angles are equal. Angle ECF is the same as angle ACB, vertically opposite or the same base angle, so it equals angle ABD. Both AD perpendicular to BC and AF perpendicular to AC give right angles. Two equal angles give AA similarity. In sight, an isosceles triangle hands you equal base angles for free, which combine with the right angles to give AA. Double the medians into full lower sides, then use SSS on the small triangles. Set up, medians go to midpoints, so BD is half BC and QM is half QR. Doubling keeps the given ratio intact. Replace BC by 2BD and QR by 2QM. The two cancel, so AB, BD, AD are proportional to PQ, QM, PM. By SSS, triangles ABD and PQM are similar. So angle B equals angle Q, taken from those similar triangles. Now AB, BC proportional to PQ. QR with the included angle B equal to Q gives SAS on the big triangles. In sight, doubling a median into the full side is the bridge from a median ratio to a proper SAS or SSS argument. A shared angle plus the given one gives AA, and the ratio squares CA. Set up, to reach a product like CB times CD, prove two triangles similar and read off a side ratio. Angle C is common to triangles BAC and ADC. Two equal angles give AA similarity. Corresponding sides give CA over CD equal to CB over CA. Cross-multiplying puts CA times CA on one side. In sight, a square equals product result almost always comes from a similarity ratio where one length appears on both sides. Extend the medians to double points so the medians become full sides. Setup: produce AD to E with DE equal to AD and PM to N with MN equal to PM. ABEC and PQNR become parallelograms. In the parallelograms, B equals AC and QN equals PR. The given ratios now make AB, B, AE proportional to PQ, QN, PN. By SSS, triangles AB and PQN are similar, so angle 1 equals angle 3. A symmetric argument, on the other half, gives angle 2 equals angle 4, so the full angle A equals angle P. Then AB, AC proportional to PQ, PR with equal included angle A gives SAS. In sight, doubling the median to make a parallelogram converts an awkward median ratio into full-side SSS, then SAS. Same sun angle makes pole and tower similar triangles. Setup: the sun's rays hit at the same angle, so the pole shadow triangle and the tower shadow triangle are similar. Similar triangles give height over shadow equal for both. Substitute the known lengths, calling the tower height h. Cross-multiply to solve for h. In sight, same time of day means one sun angle, which is exactly what makes the two shadow triangles similar. A median halves its side, so half a proportional side keeps the same ratio. Setup: since the triangles are similar, write the full side ratio and note the equal angles. Medians hit midpoints, so BD is half BC and QM is half QR. The ratio BD over QM equals BC over QR. So in triangles ABD and PQM, two sides are proportional with the included angle B equal to Q. That is SAS similarity of the two smaller triangles. Their corresponding sides give the median ratio equal to the side ratio. In sight, because a median always halves its side, corresponding medians of similar triangles carry the very same ratio.
Let's lock it all in with exam-style questions before you go. For each one, we won't just find the right answer. We'll see exactly why the tempting wrong options are traps, because knowing why a distractor fails is what stops you falling for it under pressure. Here's the thinking. Because DE is parallel to BC, the top triangle ADE has the same angles as the whole triangle ABC, so they're similar, and every pair of sides shares one scale factor. The trap to avoid is comparing DE with the wrong length. The ratio must use the whole sides. AD over AB pairs with DE over BC. Consider the four options. AD is 2 and DB is 3, so the whole side AB is 5, giving AD over AB equal to 2/5. By similarity, that equals DE over BC, so 2/5 equals 4 over BC, and cross-multiplying gives BC equals 10 centimeters, option 3. Watch the traps. 6 comes from forgetting to add DB and using AD over DB. 8 comes from just doubling DE. 12 overscales by using 3/5. Only 10 uses the correct whole side ratio. Both objects are upright and lit at the same moment, so the sun strikes both at one angle, to equal angles, a similarity. That means the ratio of height to shadow is the same for the pole and the tower, so we set them equal. Consider the four options. 5 over 3 equals 8 over 12. Cross multiplying, h equals 5 times 12 over 3, which is 60 over 3, so 20 meters, option 3. The traps are seductive. 15 comes from multiplying 5 by 3, 18 from adding the shadow difference, 24 from doubling 12. Only 20 respects the actual height to shadow ratio of 5 to 3. The critical word in SAS is included. The equal angle must sit between the two sides whose ratios we are matching. So first identify which sides border the given angle, then demand those specific sides be proportional. Consider the four options. Angle A equals angle D is the given angle, and the two sides forming angle A are AB and AC, likewise DE and DF form angle D. So the SAS pairing we need is AB over DE equals AC over DF, which is option 1. Now the traps. Option 2 uses BC and EF, but BC is opposite angle A, not around it, so the angle wouldn't be included. That's the classic SAS mistake. Option 3 adds another angle, which would give a, not SAS. Option 4 gives one equal side, nowhere near enough. Only option 1 keeps the angle wedged between its two sides. This tests the exact definition, so think back to the photozoom picture, same shape, size free to change. What must the sides do under a zoom? Consider the four options. Under a zoom the sides all scale by one common factor, so corresponding sides are in the same ratio, option 2. The tempting trap is equal, option 1, but that describes congruent triangles, where size is fixed to, similarity is looser and only fixes the shape. Perpendicular and unrelated have nothing to do with similarity at all. The single word that separates similar from congruent is ratio versus equal. The line divides the two sides in equal ratios. That exact condition is the trigger for the converse of the basic proportionality theorem. Ask what the converse concludes. Consider the four options. The converse of Thales says, if a line splits two sides of a triangle in the same ratio, it must be parallel to the third side, so EF is parallel to QR, option 2. Rule out the rest. Perpendicular confuses parallel with right-angled, a completely different relationship, equal to QR talks about length, which the ratio says nothing about. A median would need EF to hit a midpoint, which equal ratios don't guarantee unless the ratio is 1. Only parallel is what the converse actually delivers. Work an assertion reason in 3 checks. First, is the assertion true on its own? Second, is the reason true on its own? Third, and this is the one students skip, does the reason actually explain the assertion, or is it just a true but unrelated fact? Which option is correct? Check 1. The assertion, a line parallel to one side divides the other two in the same ratio, is word-forward theorem 6.1, the basic proportionality theorem, so it's true. Check 2. The reason states that this is the Thales theorem, which is also true. Check 3. Does the reason explain the assertion? Yes, naming the theorem is exactly why the assertion holds. So both are true and the reason correctly explains the assertion, which is option A. Don't be tempted by option B. True but not the explanation. Here the reason genuinely is the justification, not a bystander fact. Same 3-step method. And here the two statements are near opposites, so judge each completely on its own before deciding. The direction of the claim, congruent implies similar versus similar implies congruent, is everything. Which option is correct? The assertion says all congruent triangles are similar. Congruent means equal angles and equal sides, and similarity only asks for equal angles and proportional sides, which equal sides certainly satisfy, with ratio 1. So the assertion is true. The reason says all similar triangles are congruent, but that's the false direction. Similar triangles can be scaled copies of different sizes, like a small and a large equilateral triangle, so they need not be congruent. The reason is false. Assertion true, reason false, option C. The trap is treating similar and congruent as interchangeable. Congruence is the stricter, size-fixed version, so the implication only runs one way. Picture the scene: a tall lamp, a shorter girl, and a single ray of light from the laptop grazing her head down to the tip of her shadow. That shared ray nests a small triangle inside a big one, and because both are lit from the same point, they're similar. That similarity is the key that turns three given lengths into her unknown shadow. To prove similarity, we need two equal angles. Both the pole and the girl stand straight up from the flat ground, so each makes a right angle there. That's one pair. And the tip of the shadow is a single shared point, so the angle at that tip belongs to both triangles. That's the second pair. A right angle at the base plus the common angle at the shadow tip make two equal angles. So by their criterion, the pole triangle and the girl triangle are similar. Since the triangles are similar, height over base is the same fraction for both. That's the equation we'll build. The girl's base is just her shadow x. The pole's base runs from its foot all the way to the shadow tip, which is the 4.5 she stands away plus that same shadow x. Matching the two triangles, the pole's height over its full base equals the girl's height over her shadow base. 6 over 1.5 equals 4.5 plus x over x. Simplify the easy side first. 6 over 1.5 is exactly 4. So the lamp is 4 times the girl's height. That gives 4 equals 4.5 plus x over x. Now cross multiply and gather the x terms. Cross-multiplying gives 4x equals 4.5 plus x. Subtract x to get 3x equals 4.5. Divide by 3 and x is 1.5 meters. So her shadow is 1.5 meters, a length we found without ever measuring it, purely from similar triangles. The lengths are given as algebra expressions rather than numbers. But don't be thrown, the parallel side still means tails. Set up the same ratio and let the algebra do the rest. DE is parallel to BC, so the basic proportionality theorem splits AB and AC in the same ratio. AD over DB equals AE over EC. Nothing new. The only twist is that the four lengths are expressions in x. Substitute the four expressions in place of the lengths. AD is x, DB is x minus 2, AE is x plus 2, EC is x minus 1. So x over x minus 2 equals x plus 2 over x minus 1. To clear the two fractions, cross-multiply each numerator times the other side's denominator. That gives x times x minus 1 equals x minus 2 times x plus 2. Expand both sides. On the left, x squared minus x. On the right, spot the difference of squares pattern, a minus b times a plus b. which gives x squared minus 4. Recognizing that pattern saves a step. Here's the relief, both sides carry an x squared, so subtract it from each side and it vanishes. The frightening quadratic collapses to a simple linear equation, minus x equals minus 4. Multiply through by minus 1, or just read off signs, x equals 4. One clean value. The takeaway: when a Thales problem hands you algebraic lengths, cross-multiply and watch for the x squared terms to cancel. A cross-multiplication that looks quadratic almost always flattens into a one-line linear solve, so don't panic at the squares. Two-part question: prove a proportion, then use it to compute a length. Resist plugging numbers in early, establish the similarity cleanly first, and the arithmetic becomes trivial. Hunt for two equal angles. The corner C is shared by triangles BAC and ADC, so angle C equals itself, one pair. And we're given angle BAC equals angle ADC, the second pair. That's enough for A. With two pairs of equal angles, triangles BAC and ADC are similar by their criterion. Note the order BAC to ADC. It fixes which sides correspond. Read the corresponding sides from that order. CA over CD equals CB over CA. See how CA sits on top of one fraction and the bottom of the other. That's what will square it. Cross-multiply and the two CAs meet. CA times CA on one side, so CA squared equals CB times CD. The first part of the question is now proved. Now the numbers. Substitute CB equals 9 and CD equals 4. So CA squared equals 9 times 4, which is 36. Take the square root of 36 to get CA. There are two roots, plus and minus 6, but a length can't be negative, so we keep the positive one. CA is 6 centimeters. The fingerprint to recognize CA squared equals a product signals a similarity where CA appears on both the top and bottom of the proportion. Prove the similarity, cross-multiply to get the square, then take the positive root because lengths are never negative. The parallel sides of the trapezium are our angle source. Each diagonal crossing them gives alternate angles. Two such pairs give A, and the resulting side ratio is the answer. The one fact we lean on is AB parallel to DC, parallel lines cut by a transversal throw of equal alternate angles, and here the diagonals are the transversals crossing at O. Let's collect those angles. Diagonal AC gives alternate angles. Angle OAB equals angle OCD. Diagonal BD gives another pair. Angle OBA equals angle ODC. Two pairs of equal angles secured. Two equal angles is their criterion, so triangles OAB and OCD are similar. The order OAB to OCD records the matching. Similar triangles have proportional sides, so OA over OC equals AB over CD. The diagonal ratio is tied to the parallel side ratio. Finally, use the given AB equals twice CD, substituting OA over OC equals to CD over CD, and the CDs cancel to leave 2. So the ratio is 2 to 1. The fact worth memorizing for the exam: in a trapezium the diagonals cut each other in the same ratio as the parallel sides. So if one parallel side is twice the other, the diagonal segments are in 2 to 1. You can almost write the answer on sight once you know this. Before the exam, let's lock in everything from this chapter, and not as bare formulas to cram, but each one with the one-line reason it's true, because a formula you understand is a formula you can't forget. We'll run the similarity criteria, the key theorems, the smart shortcuts, the traps to dodge, and a few memory hooks. Here is the whole chapter on one card, each formula with its reason. Similarity first. A2 works because a triangle's angles add to 180, so two matching angles force the third, the shape is fixed. SSS works because three equal side ratios mean one common scale factor, which is exactly a zoom. SAS sits between them, one equal angle locks the corner, and the two proportional sides around it fix the rest, but the angle must be between those sides. Next, Thales. A line parallel to one side makes a little triangle the same shape as the whole, so it cuts the other two sides in the same ratio, and the arrow runs both ways. Then areas. The ratio of areas is the side ratio squared, because area is two-dimensional and each dimension scales by k. And Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, is itself just the similar subtriangles you get by dropping the altitude in a right triangle. Not one of these is a magic spell, each is earned. Here's a decision rule that saves you in every proof. Don't guess the criterion, let the given data choose it. If the question hands you angels, reach for A2A, and remember 2 is enough, because the third angle follows automatically. If it hands you 3 sides, reach for SSS, equal ratios mean one scale factor. And if it hands you one angle with the 2 sides that form it, reach for SAS, just check the angle is genuinely between those 2 sides, since an angle off to the side proves nothing. Match the tool to the data and the proof almost writes itself. A clean setup habit for the basic proportionality theorem. Write it as part over part, A to D over D to B equals AE over EC, and always keep the pieces nearest the vertex A on top on both sides. Why does consistency matter? Because the theorem only guarantees the ratios are equal when you compare like with like, mix up which piece is on top and the equation quietly becomes false. So line both fractions up the same way, then cross-multiply. That one discipline kills most of the matching errors students make. Here's the shortcut everyone forgets, and why it's true so you never forget it again. If the sides of two similar triangles are in the ratio k, the areas are in the ratio k squared. The reason is that area depends on two lengths, a base and a height, and both of them scale by k, so the area scales by k times k. So if the sides are in ratio 2:3, the areas are 4:9, not 2:3. Always square the side ratio before you touch an area. A classic trap that costs marks every year, assuming the areas share the same ratio as the sides. They don't. If the sides are 2:3, the areas are 4:9, you square the ratio. Here's the picture that fixes it. To make a triangle twice as wide and twice as tall, you need 4 copies of the original, not 2. Area lives in 2 dimensions, so the scale factor gets applied twice, squared. Whenever you see ratio of areas, the little square should flash in your mind. Another trap is scrambling the vertices, and it's subtle because your working can look right while the pairing is wrong. When you write triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF, that order is a promise the notation makes, corresponds to D, B to E, C to F. So the side A to B pairs with DE, never with EF. Why care? Because every ratio you write and every equal angle you claim is read straight off that order. Get the correspondence right and the rest of the proof falls into place. Get it scrambled and a correct looking line is actually false. So fix the letter order first, always. Here's a memory hook worth its weight in marks. A to A is enough. It sounds too good. Surely you'd need all three angles? But the angles of any triangle add to 180. So once two of them match between the triangles, the third is forced to match too. It has no room left to be anything else. That's why two equal angles alone prove similarity. So never waste time checking the third. A to A already has it. And one more chant to carry into the hall. Sides in ratio K, areas in K squared. The reason is built right into the words. Length is one dimension, area is two. So whatever factor the sides scale by, the area scales by that factor multiplied by itself. Say it until it's automatic, and square the side ratio every single time you meet an area. In 60 seconds, each with its reason. Similar triangles have equal angles and sides in one common ratio K. That's a zoom, shape fixed, size free. You prove it with A to A, since two angles force the third, or SSS, three equal ratios meaning one scale factor, or SAS, an angle locked between two proportional sides. Thales links a parallel side to equal part ratios, because the parallel makes a same-shaped triangle inside, and it runs both ways, so equal ratios prove a line parallel. The ratio of areas is K squared, because area is two-dimensional, so always square the side ratio. And in a right triangle a squared plus B squared equals C squared, which is just the altitudes similar subtriangles. Understand each reason, and you're not memorizing, you're exam ready.